Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the DOMEZONE podcast. We're finally back here with another episode. I'm here with my hosts, Ed Charlton, Mike Adams. Kind of configured it a little differently this time. And we have our guest, Chase Petty, 2021 first-round draft pick, zero-time state champion in high school.
It is. It's a fact.
It's true.
Are you zero-time too?
I'm zero-time, but
okay.
sure.
Yeah, you do have the win over me. It's okay though.
I had the roadblock. That's okay. That's all I flexed in college. Don't worry.
It's okay.
First rounder in high school. That was cool. But what's going on, man? How are you?
Hey, man, I'm chilling. I appreciate you guys having me. Just happy to be here. Happy to spend time with the boys.
Dude, we love having you. Love
you.
having you pitching. Love having you on the pod. Hopefully, this is gonna do really well for both of us because you're the man, and you bring the juice every single time.
I try.
And we look forward to bringing some of that to light today, talking about some of the craziest shit you've ever done in here. And it's been a lot of crazy shit.
Fuck yeah.
But I think we should get rolling and talk about your upbringing and how. A lot of people have misconceptions of.
Yeah, I was going to say too. I think we've been talking about doing this pod for a while because I don't think most people know the true story on pretty much anything. They just look at it from the outside and make assumptions. But I think
for sure
they'll be pretty
I
think you'll get a couple fans when they hear the real story here.
I mean, like you said, kind of outsider looking in, you wouldn't expect a lot of kind of what I went through. You know, to kind of dumb it down, long story short, I just had a really tough childhood. For 5-6 years of my childhood, I had no running water, in and out of electricity, so really tough. My mom had addiction with pills basically my whole life, so kind of dealt with that, and my father being abusive towards her physically and mentally, and kind of just being on top of that, but I wouldn't change that for the world because it made me who I am today. It gave me my relationships with my brothers that I have now, how close we are. And sorry, I'm a little shaky, but just trying to, kind of reliving through things. But it's just I would have changed for the world. It's the reason I have my foundation now, to give back to kids who were in similar situations that I was in. And kind of like you guys said, just bringing this to the light, to kind of broaden people's perspectives on me, because at the end of the day, like you said, outside looking in, just normal guy, just grew up, had a good lifestyle, and I was a first rounder, so people just didn't think anything of it. So it's kind of cool to be able to share my story and kind of just let other people who kind of go through the same thing I do that it is possible. You're
right. That's kind of just when people talk to us about you, they're like, dude, was that guy always so good? What a life he has. And it's you actually have no idea. If you look at it, if you look at it from the outside, you look at all right, privileged kid from South Jersey, picked in the first round, probably woke up, throwing 100 his whole life. And it's that couldn't be farther from the truth.
No,
and I think, more people should know about it.
No, absolutely.
And obviously that's pretty much the background for the foundation and why you do that.
Exactly.
And obviously being from Millville, New Jersey, people think they're oh, Millville, Mike Trout, Chase Petty, but it's the Millville that you from is a little different than that.
For sure. Where I originally grew up, it wasn't in Center City, Millville, but right before I moved over towards to Summers Point and over to mainland, I actually was living in Center City, Millville. I was living across the street from one of the biggest drug dealers in town. Drive-bys every night. I was living just with my mom and my one brother at the time in a duplex on North Street, literally just in the middle of Center City, Millville. So it just wasn't a good area. And that was actually after living in the house without the running water and the electricity, so this was actually a better situation than we were in before. So I ended up moving over to Summers Point when my mom finally got back with my dad and stuff, and then they ended up splitting again through high school, and then I ended up moving again through high school just into another part of Summers Point, just so I can stay in this area because it was a better area than Millville. So there was it's just so much.
That was one of the first things I wanted to talk about too, is how you kind of got down here. The first time we met you was, we obviously heard about you. We're hey, this kid Chase Petty, he's pretty good. Yeah. And we're there's really not many guys that are this good that we've never heard of or seen before. And it was pretty much because you were just playing backwoods games in Millville, coming off a shortstop, slingshotting it from the mound.
No, seriously.
We were we were kind of calling him Tarzan. We're dude, who is this kid? He comes in here just slings the rock, hits kind of is like a true Sandlot player, but from Millville. But
throwback.
But how you got here, I'm just trying to remember from what I remember, but you guys got evicted and then had to come down here, right?
Yeah. My mom got evicted from her spot. We just couldn't afford it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, my parents got back together. We ended up moving into my grandmother's basement. I was living in my grandma's basement for a year
And there was
half.
5 of you living in the basement, right?
There was 4 of us.
4 of us?
Yeah. Me, my parents, and then my brother Logan. And then we were there for about, I want to say it was a year and a half. And then my mom ended up splitting up with my dad again, and we got our own spot. We got a apartment above a salon, and we were living there for 2.5 years, 2 years, the rest of high school.
I mean, that's what was crazy. It was like, I mean, we were talking about this a little bit earlier. Like, I remember when the draft was starting, and COVID hit, and eventually this never ended up happening because everything went through Zoom. But I remember talking with like George and the guys at MVP and being like, hey, when this guy starts to do meetings, like we probably got to do it somewhere else so they don't use his, you know, his home life against him, like on the leverage side.
Yeah, exactly.
And like that was the first time I was like, this is actually
nuts.
crazy.
Because like a lot of people don't understand how much of a business it really is. You know, so teams are going to use every leverage that they can get. So
give you less money.
Exactly.
I mean, I know Mike had them. I had phone calls with teams. Like they're trying to find out about your life more so than anything.
Exactly. It's trying to just playing a game. So
we never let him in though.
Exactly. So my agent and I, my parents, we kind of had to play the game too. You know, my parents kind of act like they were civil and everything was all good, and we acted like there was no problems, and we had our Zoom calls, and it really did. It helped me a ton because at the end of the day, if they saw that vulnerability and those weaknesses in the household and in the family, then they would take advantage of that, and they would try to take me for a lot less money and later on, So
they would think, hey, this guy actually needs money, so like we don't have to give him a ton because he's going to take it either way.
Exactly.
And you were kind of in one of the first scenarios that we've ever dealt with that's been, hey, like obviously the draft in college, like pretty much the whole time from the inside, it was, hey, we need to use everything we can to get you more money because the money that you were going to get was going to pretty much change your family for you, your life, and help you like, be able to be a better player and provide for your family. And that was like the first scenario I've ever seen that's been like that. And it's just crazy how it all came together. And obviously you coming down here from, like you guys getting evicted might have been one of the greatest things ever. Cause like
Seriously.
first we met you, like we were like, and we always were like, hey, Chase is really good. I don't think for 1 ounce of me did I ever think this guy is going to throw 100 and be a first rounder. Honest truth.
You came in, you're like
seriously.
5'9", 130 pounds.
Yeah,
throwing
and
84 to 86.
I mean, because when you were a freshman, it was like pretty good. But when you look at it now, like we have a ton of guys that are freshmen that kind of throw like that, and I was like, damn, like when you really compare it, like you had like a really good foundation, but as far as like just general talent, like it like you weren't, this guy's the best thing ever.
For sure.
We're like, this guy's gonna be a D1 arm, you know. And that's what was like really crazy, just watching it all go from that to like, like starting to get a little bit of structure, starting to like really figure it out, getting a good group around you. Like obviously going to mainland was huge to have Billy and Edwards there.
Yeah,
like
huge.
that was huge because there was just multiple people that we could use to kind of protect and build the story up a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. And like, I don't know. I think it's a little bit weird, like with the situation that I kind of went through, like just kind of throughout everything. Like you guys were quite literally like the foundation for my success. Like I don't know how comfortable with you guys are saying this, but like you guys let me come in here for free because I couldn't afford it, like, and you guys let me come in here as long as I dedicated every second I was in here to the game. And like, that's what I did. And and through COVID, you guys gave me a key so I could come in and lift and throw and just make sure I'm on top of my game. And
working with Book.
Yeah. And like from the bottom of my heart, like I can't thank you guys enough because that's what made me who I am today. just the hunger, the ambition, like, and you guys feeding it. You guys told me. I remember you guys pulled me in, and you guys told me like,
that meeting.
You guys, like, you have some of the best abilities we've ever seen, and we just want to see you take it to the next level. And you guys, seriously, like, were the number one supporters through it all. And like, I can't thank you guys enough.
I mean, dude, when we had those conversations, it's like it's crazy to see like what you've turned it into.
Sure.
I mean, dude, like on like the small scale already before early into your career, like you've pretty much like changed the landscape of baseball in the area though. Like people use that story and they're like, yo, I want to be like that. Like they witnessed it in here. So many people always talk about, damn, like I'm like I remember watching him do this or that. Like
Yeah.
your grasp on the area has changed it, and that's
sure.
kind of like what we talked about. We're like, dude, it could be this good. Like,
Yeah.
we just want you to take advantage.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what you guys
and
said.
and early on at that point, we hated just seeing guys that were good that kind of didn't do a lot, and it was like that early on. There was a lot.
Yeah.
There was a lot of guys who ended up like not like having the talent that didn't do it.
We won't name them.
Yeah, and,
You know
and it
who
was
you are.
and it was it's like it's refreshing to see it get to this point, because I mean that's kind of why when we started the podcast we were talking about doing this from the get-go, because it's
from
like,
the
dude,
beginning.
people actually have no idea, because we really didn't want to say it, because we wanted everything to like be beneficial to you,
For sure.
and like people not really know until now. But I mean, I think it's a good platform to really let everyone in on the story.
No, exactly. Especially because like being older now, like a lot of people say wisdom comes with age and experience, and like I've just experienced a ton, so I feel like I'm very mature for my age.
Yeah.
So I understand that my platform and my upbringing can touch a lot of people, and it can motivate a lot of people. So I mean, if I can get one person that has any type of similarity to my upbringing to get them to work a little bit harder, that means the world to me. So
100%. That was one of the things that Sam and I were actually talking about yesterday, was like, I want to say the biggest difference from when you were in here to everyone else was like, there was this sort of like oblivious confidence that most people in your scenario probably wouldn't have. Like they I don't know how they would possibly have that, but like baseball wise, like when you were in here, like even if you weren't the best, it was like you would look at you and you would be like, that kid's probably going to be the best. Like there was this crazy like just belief and confidence, which someone from where you're coming from and what you had normally wouldn't have.
No, for sure. And
We are pleased to announce our inaugural sponsor is Clean Fuego. As you guys know, Clean Fuego is the leading training tool to help guys improve their throws. It helps guys work on their grip, polish pitches, visualize how they're releasing, and work out subtle changes in real time, and so much more. They just released the new Fuego Fly 01. They are made of a material that allows you to warm up against a wall, so you don't need a throwing partner or a net. You can also throw them at the ground or lay on your back and toss them upwards towards the ceiling. They have texture and stitches, so you can easily blend a Fly-O with a baseball. There are also benefits in how the Fly-Os impact the wall. With the limited distance from the wall when warming up, the thrower could start to recognize the ball bounces and ricochets off the wall for more feedback in addition to the visual. We use the Fuegos and the Fly-Os daily at BPC, and you can scoop your own Fuegos on their website, cleanfuego.com, or find them on Amazon or any social media shop.
like you said, like you got like my junior year, I remember coming in and training with all the pro guys, and like you said, I had that confidence that I was always the best guy in the room. And like I remember being in there with them and being like, I'm better than these guys. Like what's to stop me from being there with them? Like why am I not better than them? And like that was just the always
I think they felt that too.
Well, that's why like we do that stuff. Like you're not the only guy that has gotten that opportunity.
For sure.
Because we want we want to do that to show you guys like
exactly.
yo, if you want to do this, like you're good enough.
Yeah.
You know, you just got to be consistent with it.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you just put the time and the effort in, like you guys allowed me to, like. Yeah, I mean, look where I am now. Like it changed. Like I said, it changed my life.
Yeah, I think at that point they felt that too. Like there was a lot of guys that were like, I mean, we had guys. I mean, you had guys like Brett Kennedy and guys who were like in the big leagues, and they would be coming in and throwing, and like you'd be throwing 98 as a junior in high school, and like most people don't want to be like, yo, that high school kid's really good. Like he'll be good. Like, but they were actually like, yo, this is crazy. Yeah. I've never seen this in my life. No, and we were, and that was. I mean, we talked about yesterday, kind of the first thing that happened when you officially came onto the scene was like probably like that pro day you threw as a junior. No one knew who you were. We were like, yo, we got this kid. He might throw. We don't know how hard he's going to throw. And like when you threw 96 that day, we were like, wow, we might have something.
I was saying, I remember looking back at the highlight video we put up, and like that's how I brought up that story yesterday, because when you hit 96 there, I'm standing like next to the stairs in old BPC, the velo boards next to my head, right next to you. And like I look over and see 96, I'm just like
I know. I literally remember that video.
Yeah, that's
like, exactly.
on video. We got to find that.
I literally remember when that video came out and seeing Ed's face and his reaction. He just turned and like his face just lit up, and he was.
I was like, oh shit, this is crazy.
Because we were trying. We're like, yo, like we're talking to George. We're like, dude, we got to get chasing the pro day, and we were all like like you were like people knew who you were, but it wasn't like
Yeah.
anything crazy yet. And we're like, dude, when this guy is in like pretty much his home ballpark to throw a bullpen in front of scouts, like it might blow
is
up.
gonna be
And the
electric.
first pitch, we're like, wow,
Yeah.
thank God.
Yeah,
Because
it took convincing. It
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
It did because we were.
Because we're just same thing. We're trying to shield everything. It's like you were
Exactly.
good, like, but people always view those pro days as like people just want to continue to knock him down. But like we
Exactly.
knew we're like, yo, this guy has stuff to show.
Yeah,
like he's
exactly.
actually getting better.
Yeah.
Like, and the same thing the next year when we're like we wanted to show off the slider in your repertoire. Like people
Yeah.
early on were like, hey, small head whacker, just a thrower, can't really
Hat
pitch.
falls off
yeah,
every
hat's
pitch.
falling off
Yep.
everywhere. Like can't get a hold of the guy, and that's another thing I want to
when
talk
in reality,
about too.
that was just my hair. So whoever said
Yeah.
that, you guys can go. I'm gonna
Don't worry.
pardon my language, but you guys can fuck off.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Or, yeah,
Yeah, when you
that
cut
guy
it,
for the
it
press
stopped.
is still
Yeah.
blackballed.
Yeah.
He hasn't,
I remember
gotten
when
a
they
repost
were
in a while.
giving us credit. They're like, dude, when you were senior, you didn't have the hair. They're like, dude, Petty cut the head whacking
Yeah.
down, and I'm like,
really calmed
he
his
just
delivery
got a
down.
haircut.
I just got a haircut. That's all I did.
Got a
Yeah.
haircut, a tighter hat.
Yeah.
And everybody's
Yeah.
like, wow, he really
Yeah.
calmed down the delivery.
Yeah.
Easy,
and
easy
he realized
throws.
that like it used to be cool. Like we would go in both pictures
Oh, I
and
love
have
that.
their hat falling
Yeah, I
off.
love
Like,
that
that's just
shit.
what it
Yeah,
was.
every picture that I had in high school with my like hat falling off, it would always be like right next to me, and I posted it every time. 'Cause
Yeah.
it just looked sick. So
Another thing I want to talk about too is like when you were getting recruited. First off, you were one of the first guys to like actually take official visits. Most people, it was like you got to commit early or you
Yeah.
lose your spot. Like you were one of the first scenarios where
Yeah.
you were like, no, I'm going to take my 3 officials. If they don't want me, somebody else
Yeah.
will. Which we were like,
Well,
you're actually good enough to do that. I wouldn't recommend it, but that's
Maryland
fine.
was the
Yeah.
first one.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
came in when we took that team. That's kind of how our first team ever even started.
Yeah. Yeah.
When they reached out to us to come down to a team camp and asked if we could put a team together. They wanted to see you. They wanted to see Noonan, Finnegan,
Yeah.
a couple other guys. So we're like, you guys were all training with us. We're
Yeah.
like, yeah, like, you guys want to make a team and go down for this.
yeah, that was the
And-
start of the Oilers right
Yeah,
there.
and I'll never
Yeah.
forget, man, when you were on the mound, it was the funniest shit.
I threw a
Coach
fucking- I
Vaughn
threw a
was back
fucking
there,
knuckleball back
and there
then.
just
Yeah, I
stands
remember
up.
that. I remember
Yeah,
that.
you're
Oh my
shoving,
God.
and they knew you threw the knuckleball, and Vaughn stands up, and he's just like, "Yo,
Yeah,
yeah," and,
from
you,
right
and you're
behind-
like, "Oh, all right,
Yeah,
knuckleball."
right
man.
behind
Struck him
home-
out.
right
Everybody
behind-
goes nuts.
right behind home plate. He just signals to me, just go like
Yep.
that. I was like, shit, I gotta do it. It's
yeah.
coming.
Yeah, and that was
Yep.
like the start of it. And I remember like when you were getting recruited, like you didn't have a cell phone, so people
Yeah.
would be like,
Yeah.
actually, you might have had one
I
and
have, but it
said,
wasn't
I don't
turned-
really want to answer this,
But-
or
but
it's
it
not
wasn't
turned on all the
turned-
time.
it
Yeah, it was
wasn't
on and off.
turned on, yeah.
So we would have you come in, you would throw. One, we would be like, yo, you got 3 calls at 7, so you got to come throw at 5.
Yep.
You would come in, throw, work out, and then we would line you up with like 4 calls that you had to make on our phones.
Yeah.
And
You
I
would
was
do
like,
it in
dude,
school too. With Billy.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
in
saying I
school,
would
yep.
do it. I would do it after school. 3 days a week with
Yeah.
my high school coach Billy. Yeah, bro. Yeah, all the time. It was always.
Yeah.
I remember doing. Oh my God, we did like Stetson, Clemson,
All of them.
Florida, everybody, like everybody.
Like you were the
all
first time we put an edit out on the Final Four.
Yeah,
Your
yeah. I
Final
remember.
Four.
I remember that. I
Yeah.
remember that. Yeah, because I took all my officials. Yep. Yeah, my official. I'm so happy that because they just changed the rules where you have to like you can't talk to colleges until you're a junior
Yeah,
now, right?
yeah.
Like, that's
Yeah.
what it is.
So you kind of
like
you were
first year,
kind of
junior
first
year.
on that before it happened.
I was
now,
about to
'cause
say
people do that
I was
now.
about to say because I've realized that people aren't really like, committing early anymore, and
Yeah.
I just now heard that that's the new rule. So I mean, I'm happy that people get to experience that because like at the end of the day, I would have really regretted not taking my officials. Like,
Yeah.
I remember going to UNC with my
Every
first
time
one.
you went to one, you were like, I'm going to UNC.
I,
I was like,
remember,
"No, I'm going to
I remember
Clemson."
I went to UNC and I was like I'm going to commit on the spot. And the one reason I didn't like commit on the spot, like in all like truthfulness, was because of the dorms. Because like at the other places that like I was like going on officials to, I knew that like you would have your own room and like the living
Yeah.
conditions were just a little bit better. And like so my next visit was South Carolina and it was beautiful and I loved it and like the campus was gorgeous. The football game was amazing.
Yeah.
We went out the night, so it was a beautiful like party life. Like everything about the school was beautiful, but it was just too big, so I just didn't like it. And then I went
Yeah.
to Clemson, absolutely loved Clemson. And then like I was like, dude, what am I gonna do? I don't know what to do. And then I went to University of Florida, and it was like that tight, homey feel.
Yep.
Campus was gorgeous. The baseball field, they were just building a new baseball field. The baseball field was gonna be unbelievable, and it is. It's absolutely gorgeous.
That class they had coming
Oh
in
my
for
God,
your
and
class.
the
If
class
everybody
was
went to school,
Yeah.
holy
would've-
shit.
We could have three-peated. We
I mean,
could have
you,
three-peated. That team-
Painter.
Painter, Jay Allen,
Yep, Jay.
Jake Fox. Who else?
Wasn't there
Who else
another
was-
arm?
Caglione.
Caglione went there.
Well, he went, but he had been hurt.
But I mean, he would have been
was
in
hurt
there.
his freshman year.
That would have been.
Langford would have been there too, right? Your
Wyatt
first
Langford
year?
was there, yeah.
That would have been
Barco was there. Would have
crazy.
been there my first year, I believe.
Dude, imagine
I mean,
if
there was
NIL
4 first
was,
rounders on that
bro,
team.
it's
Yeah.
unbelievable. So many guys.
Imagine
so
if
many guys.
NIL was a thing when
Seriously,
that,
you
might have
probably
changed.
would've went to
It would have changed
college,
a lot of things
honestly.
for a
Yeah.
lot of guys. It
Yeah.
really would have. It really.
Maybe
I mean,
not actually
I
because
would
you were
say-
a first rounder.
I would say for some guys it definitely would have, but I mean, just with where it's at compared to like football, basketball, like if you're gonna get paid, you're probably gonna take it, you know.
Yeah,
So I think it's like, and I think that's like the craziest thing about me that like on the topic of my officials. When I was at my officials, and like a lot of guys can say it's because like, oh, they didn't want you to go to school because like they don't want you to take their spot. But a lot of guys said, take the money. Like, it's like, you should take the money, start your career early. And like people, like I said, can take that as like, oh, they just don't want you to come because they don't want you to take your spot, whatever. But like, to me, like whenever a guy told me that, I felt like he was being very authentic and true about it, because like at the end of the day, you do get a head start as long as you treat it correctly and go about your business correctly and like take care of yourself and take care of yourself the right way. Like, it really is a huge head start. And
yeah.
like,
And I mean, I think
And
it
you were
was.
good
I think it
enough
was
to
a
do
great.
it.
Yeah, I think it was a good decision for you too, because, like, putting you in the pro ball, like with the structure like that, and hey, like, it's not about you throwing 5 shutout tonight. It's about like you getting better. It's about you know, maturing, like being able to live on your own. And obviously you do that in college, but like it's a little more like in pro ball, like they don't hide it as much. Like like there's way more. Like you could get fired at any point, you know. Like you kind of have to follow the rules. College,
Seriously.
like they'll kind of work with you a little bit
For sure.
But Ed and I were talking about this yesterday too. I think one of the first times we've ever realized that, like, we might be like in the handful of people that this guy has like in his life is when we were in we were in Georgia, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
it was at Lake Point.
Yeah, it was at Lake Point, and we were there for a week, and we were like, you were staying with us on like the couch. We might have even been like swapped beds and like we were like, yo.
I'm gonna say, I remember I was like, I literally just asked you guys, I was like, yo, like, as long as you guys got room, I'll take the floor, I'll take the couch,
so
whatever it is.
tournaments, you were either with us, you were with a teammate,
Yep.
and we went down to Georgia, and it was the first time you were going to throw that
Uncommitted
summer,
in front of
uncommitted,
scouts.
and there was probably 60, 70 schools there. It was 100 degrees out.
Yep.
Playing
And
a team from Texas
Yeah,
that
we were
had,
looking
like,
around,
3
like
good bats.
we'd already had played a doubleheader. We're sitting in the dugout. Everyone's like, parents are bringing them Gatorade or water and food in between, and we're like, yo, our starting pitcher is like he pretty much has no one other than us. He doesn't know a soul here.
Yeah.
Like he's about to go out of Millville for the first time and like throw on a stage like this.
Yep.
And we're like, dude, we're pretty much it. I'm like, this is actually crazy. Like I couldn't imagine doing that.
Yeah.
And like
No,
having
actually,
no one there. And like you
I
obviously
remember.
knew us well,
Yeah.
but like we've only known you for, I mean, we've never really, had you like stay with us or anything to that point. And we're like, you're going out there pretty much pitching. It wasn't for your career at that point,
for
but the first time ever. So it seems
For
like
sure.
a huge deal. And I remember in the first inning, like, kind of struggled a little bit, gave up a couple runs. We're playing a really good team, and like some guys hit some balls hard, and we're like, damn, like I kind of like felt bad. I was like, dude, this is crazy. Obviously, this guy's throwing like 96. Who cares?
No, it's just
but
a good bat.
we were like, dude, we're
touches.
like, he doesn't have a single like piece of support here, like, and it's crazy like how just how you ended up handling it when you
I was
were
telling
kind of
him,
on your own.
I remember like going out during that game and taking the mound visit in the first inning and just talking to you.
Yeah.
I'm like, you nervous? And you're like,
Yeah.
I'm like, it's all right, man. Like, it's fine.
Yeah,
Just-
I actually remember like warming up for that game because I was gonna wear spikes, but they
Yeah.
told me,
Yep.
and they told me literally right before I went out to like get on the mound that I had to switch, and I was like, then why'd you guys let me warm up in all?
Yeah,
all that?
and you didn't even have like shoes.
No,
Yeah.
so I ended up wearing. I think it was Frankie Dots. I think it was
You might
Dots.
have,
I think it was
yeah.
Dots turfs, and I was slipping, sliding everywhere, and I got hit up a little bit, and I was nervous as hell. I saw all the scouts, and Ed came out and ended up coming out, just talking to me. We ended up literally just talking until the umpire came back out, and I remember like got out of that inning and then had a smooth rest
You
of the
pitched
outing.
good after
Yeah,
that,
had a
yeah.
smooth
Mhm.
rest of the outing, and then kind of just went from there. But
Yeah, it was just the first time you went from like, you probably struck out every hitter you've ever faced to that point. You get there and it's like you're facing guys that are good.
Yeah, exactly.
And like scored some runs, and we're like, damn, this is
I'm gonna say, I
crazy.
remember there was like a Oklahoma commit, a Texas commit, Texas Tech commit.
Yeah,
then
there was like
a
3 big
and
ones.
then like a TCU commit. I think there was like 3 or 4.
Yeah, a couple big lefties that hit some balls hard in the gap, and man, that was the first time I ever seen you like struggle, and it was 1 inning.
Yeah.
I wanted to
also want to carry, but we'll talk about that.
I wanted to ask too, like, what was it like being like a first rounder coming out of high school? Like, kind of people knew who you were, obviously, because you were kind of like had clout at some point, just because like you were the hardest throwing high schooler ever at one point, which is nuts.
Yeah,
like from where you go
sure.
to that is crazy
For sure.
But like I know there's some difficulties and challenges being like a high school pick in the first rounder. Like what what was that like?
I mean, it was crazy. I mean, like that's. I mean, like, to dumb it down, dude, it was crazy. Like, just the whole experience of it all. I mean, like, just the whole experience building up to it. Like you guys said, kind of going through the whole process with the calls and everything, from the recruiting all the way until I got on the calls with the MLB teams when I was doing everything with my agent and my parents. Like that to then going to Denver, going to the draft, hearing my name called while I'm there, walking up on the stage, having all of that. It was like, I've got a pretty bad memory, but like everything about that moment and like being in Denver is so vivid, and I can just see it so clearly. Like it was the second greatest moment of my life, other than getting married.
You going out there and like experiencing that is awesome. Like not a lot of guys do it anymore.
I mean, I remember where we were too. I was like, we're at Charlie's. And
we were watching.
I remember. I literally remember
we had the whole back bar.
I remember everybody was at Charlie's. I remember quite literally pulling out my phone right when so someone from my agency was right next to me. They asked me if everything was good with the Twins, and I was like, yeah, absolutely, let's go. And I remember texting Mooney because he was with the Twins obviously at the time, and right before they called my name, I was like, are you ready to be teammates? And I texted, and he literally texted me right before they called my name, and he was like, "No fucking way!" And like, and it was just like cool things like that I just like remember so clearly because like it was the coolest, crazy, just such a crazy moment. And then like my first experience going right out to Fort Myers, kind of just getting thrown into the mix, living on my own. I met actually one of my best buddies to this day, Marco Raya, out there. He's with them still. He actually got put on the 40-man. So so congratulations to him. I mean, guys like that, they made it easy for me. Him, my buddy Reggie Grace, guys like that, they just make it so easy. There's a lot of good guys in pro ball, and I've come to learn that since obviously being in it for almost 4 years now. Damn, that's crazy. Time flies.
I think too.
My fourth year. Damn,
that is wild.
And I think early on, it's like you get there, you kind of want to exceed expectations, and right when you got there, it was like you hadn't thrown in a little bit, like you took some time off, you got out there. Velo was a little bit down. They kind of wanted to mess with your arm action a little bit. So I know that was like a frustrating, just because it's like just let the guy go. Like he has a pretty good idea of what he's doing.
I remember they had like a pretty big hard on about getting your arm inside 90.
Yeah, getting the arm inside 90.
This guy's never had an arm injury ever, and this is just how it is.
Yeah. And I remember when you originally went out there, it was frustrating from the start just because like you weren't throwing as hard. Like you didn't feel as good about it, and talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I would say no disrespect to the Twins here, but like no, when I did get there, I did feel like they were fucking with everything. Like I mean, and but I heard that like once you get into pro ball as a young high school guy, they want to put their stamp on you. They want to make sure that you fit their mold necessarily, and they want you to hit all the check marks.
Well, every coach in pro ball in the minor leagues, like they're not aspiring to be a low A pitching coach. They want to put their stamp on you and say, look, I helped this guy so they can move up.
Exactly. And like I said, like it messed with me a ton. Like really did a ton. Like the velo dropped a ton in instructs. I mean, it didn't drop a ton. Like I was sitting 94 to 97 in instructs. I hit a 99 once, but from there, like I went to early camp right before spring training, was doing well on my plyo velo, but then I got a ball in my hand and they started messing with stuff again, and like I just felt so outside of myself. And then I ended up getting traded actually like I don't know, a month and a half after going there for early camp, a week into spring training. And
we were talking about it yesterday. Some shit happened before that.
Yeah,
when they sent you home.
Yeah, remember when you were like, "Yo, can I go home? I'll go to BPC, work on it." And like we started to work on it. We had like a week though, and it started to get better. And you were like, "Yo, I want to throw a live BP like before I go to see how hard it is." And I was like, "You've just thrown 50 balls every day for the last 4. I don't know how hard you're going to throw a live BP." And I remember like
you had to face Lope, Decker, and Big Joe.
Yeah, and like didn't Lope drill one or somebody? Somebody hit one that hit you.
Big Joe hit him, I think.
Oh yeah, hit my knee. But I just
all three of them fucking laced your ass though.
But they hit a couple barrels, and I remember being like, damn, like I don't know what happened to it. Like where did it all go?
Because even the velo was down then. I remember when I was doing that, I was like 93, 95. Like it was low. Like it was really low for me. So I think that kind of early on helped me deal with the adversity that I started to deal with because the velo did start to drop. And I think, like I said, no disrespect to the Twins, but like when they started tweaking with stuff and messing with stuff, like I feel like it kind of all stemmed from that. But then I got traded over to the Reds. My first full season, the velo was a little down. But then I got back in with you guys for All-Star break, and then my first outing back after All-Star break, it was 98, which I hadn't been above 96.
Yeah, that was the first. That was the first time, like during the season, that you've been that high. I remember that, and it was like, I mean, it's just good for you to deal with, because it's like throughout your career, you need to know what can get yourself back.
Exactly.
And that's the
there's always
biggest
going to be
thing.
the velo drop.
Yep. It's always going to be up and down.
It is going to happen.
Like,
it is going to happen.
Yep. And for you, it's like as you throw, you start to get a little forward at foot strike. You start to get a little bit off the back leg.
Yep.
And like that's kind of your thing that happens.
Yeah.
So now you knowing,
I'm about to say,
hey, how do I
things and
how do I
handling
manage
them.
it? How do I maintain? And like when you deal with your coaches, like you. Like their job is to help you, so like they don't always know. They're like, all right, let's try this, and like now you can have better conversations about, hey, this is what I normally do, this is what normally happens. Like, can you help me do this?
Every time my velo starts to tick down, this is what's going on. Can you take some video? Look at this for me.
And that's why I absolutely love the Reds and their pitching.
They obviously do a great
everything
job,
with their pitching coordinators and staff and everyone, because since I've been there, they know how much I trust you guys and how much I trust, especially you, with everything with my pitching, and like. They understand how good you are at what you do, so they let me do what I need to do with you. Like, perfect example was like I said, my first season when I went home for All-Star break, they let me do what I wanted to do with you, and like I said, I came back, my velo was good. This year, had a bad first month, kind of shook it off, whatever, started to figure it out. Velo started to drop off right before All-Star break. And I came back, and my first outing back with you, I hit 100 or 99 again. And then throughout like the rest of the season, just from working on the things that we had talked on for the 2-3 days that I was home, I ended up in my last outing hit at 100 again. So like the velo stayed the entire year this year, and I think it's just their comfortability with letting guys know what works for them, and they know that you guys work with me so damn well, and like it is the best thing for me being around you guys and working with you guys.
Well, at the end of the day, they want you to be the best.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if whatever gets you there, they don't.
And that's what the good orgs do.
Shit.
Like in the off seasons, like All-Star break, those kind of scenarios, like they can't help.
Yeah.
So it's like as long as you're comfortable with where they're going and know they're going to do the right thing, like that's easy for them, because they kind of are just reaping the benefits of you coming back better and just kind of not getting in the way.
For sure.
But yeah, and I think too, like that, like for you, those are some of the first struggles that you've pretty much ever dealt with, Like normally when you come in and throw, it's like, yo, Chase, hitting your back leg, sitting one, oh, there's a 95. Yeah. So it's like it was kind of like that. So like for you, like dealing with that, and then the trade, like I remember when that happened, it was like, I just got drafted, like I already got traded, like what's going on?
And
you get a quick look at the business side of
the business side of it. And like when I first got drafted, I took it, I don't want to say I took it personal, but a little bit, I mean, I was very upset. Like I was like, damn, these guys just took me in the first, and now I'm just gone. And like I get like, and then like looking back on it now, like I got traded for Sonny Gray, and then another guy, and like Sonny Gray having the year he did after I got traded.
Yeah, he's
like
good.
the year I got traded.
He was a Cy Young guy.
Yeah, literally a Cy Young candidate the last 2-3 years, and like. Since I got traded, he's been one of the most dominant arms in the big. So, like, looking back on that, and, like, me having the confidence and the belief in myself that we talked about earlier, like, I know I will be better than Sonny Gray one day. Like once I get my chance and once I get my big league career going, I will be better than Sonny Gray one day. And that's just the confidence and the aspiration that I have in myself, you know? Like, my goal is to be a Hall of Famer. It's not just
and they obviously, and when you look at it on the flip side, obviously the Reds valued you enough to give him up to get you in return.
For sure.
So it's like, you look at it like, hey, they got rid of me, but that's kind of like at that point they were trying to make a run. They're trying to say, hey, who can help us win now? And flipping you for that, like the Reds were like, yeah, you kidding me?
Honestly, dude, like on everybody's part, like hopefully, down the road the Twins look like idiots for trading you. But like at the time, it was probably a good move by them because you were there, the velo was down, you were getting hit around. It was before
a great move for them.
Before you really started playing. So like you were still the first rounder that threw 100 in everybody else's eyes. So like
exactly.
They were probably like, all right, right now this is the most value we're ever going to get for him. If he goes out and pitches like shit this year and the velo's down, like we're not going to get a return. So that's probably what they were thinking
for sure.
And they, obviously they got Sonny Gray out of the deal for a high school kid, which is insane.
And he had a
it worked out.
Caliber year.
It worked out.
It did. It was a really good move for them.
The goal definitely for you is probably make them eat that shit.
Exactly. That is the goal. Like you said, it was a great trade for them at the time. At the time. Sonny was a phenomenal ball player. But yes, my goal is at the end of the day to make the Twins feel like they're dumbasses for
Yeah,
trading.
you
Like,
need
absolutely,
that. You need
absolutely.
that chip on your shoulder.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
now I gotta feel like the Reds are definitely, not that they weren't invested in you already, but now like the Reds are like, all right, we just gave up a Cy Young candidate. Let's
Yeah.
make sure this guy pans out.
And
you know what I mean? Like,
and they've definitely made me feel like they want me to be a big piece in this system. You know, like Brian Conger, Casey Weathers are our two pitching coordinators that have worked the most with me and have been the closest with me, or I've been the closest with them. And you know, the belief that they've shared, that they have with me, and everything that they've shared with me, like they want me to. It sounds like they want me to be a key part of this system, and you know, like I said, like it's just once my name gets called, I have to be ready for that moment, because once my name's called, you know, it's time to shine, and there's no looking back, because once my name's called, I don't want to go back.
Yeah, you want to
you
get
know,
up,
I want
stay
to
there.
stay there, get up, stay there. That's the goal, you know.
And I think too, another thing that, you know, is difficult that I know that you deal with that sometimes is like going from high school and like everything being revolving around your stats and the performance, and like going into pro ball and knowing that, like, you know, obviously it's an individual game, but like they're looking at you to develop and get better. And sometimes that's not about, is the ERA dropping? Are the strikeouts going up? Are you giving less hits? And there's something to be said about like understanding about, you know, trying to control with what can make you good, and like, you know, someone rips a line drive in the gap and they catch it. It's like, are we hyped up about that?
Yeah.
You make a good pitch, they doink one for a knock. Like, are we mad about that?
Yep.
And it's like that's one thing that not you, but us, myself, everyone struggles. It's like you think people judge you based off of what your stats say, but for you, like early on in the year, you didn't throw the ball bad. Like you had some bad, you had
some bad luck.
You had some bad results, you had some bad luck, but like as far as looking at it, like you weren't like you weren't getting shit on, like you weren't getting shelled, like you were throwing strikes.
It didn't feel as bad as the number said by any means, but like at the end of the day, like when you're in double A, like you do have to perform, and like your numbers do have to show. And I think so. Right before I actually left spring training, I was told that there would be a very, very good chance that I was going to debut that year, and I kind of just took that pressure onto my shoulders going into the years, like subconsciously. I never really like thought about it, like, because going into last year, I was like, I'm gonna debut this year. Like that's my goal, you know. So and
It's
it didn't
always
happen.
the goal,
exactly,
right?
exactly. So like, you know, I didn't end up debuting. So now that just makes my want and my need for debuting this year so much stronger. So now it just makes me that much more excited for this year. But
and then they tell you that, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna debut. I had 3 bad starts, and you feel so far away.
There's just so much pressure on my shoulders, and
that's the hardest part about all of it is dealing with that, and also knowing, like, all right, you know, whatever's happened, how can I, like, if you have 5 good starts in a row, they don't care about the stats anymore, you know. But it's hard to think about that when you're doing it, because you're like, I need to throw 7 innings shutout today, no runs, 10 Ks, and like I need to make up for the last 5, which is where most people get themselves in trouble.
Exactly,
like,
that's
if
where
you,
you're gonna start
I could see like your mannerisms out there. Sometimes it's like you throw 4 shutout, you give up 2 in the 5th, and it's like, God damn it, you threw 5 innings, 2 runs. That's pretty good.
No,
We're gonna take that every day of the week, except when you have a 7 ERA, and it's like, I don't want that now.
Exactly,
you know?
exactly.
But that's the biggest battle everyone.
Well, I remember,
deals with.
I remember like talking to you about it when we were in Alabama, and you know we got lunch with the whole team. It was awesome when you came to the game. Was in the dugout. You know, everybody loved that. It was great. But I remember going to lunch and just sitting down and talking to you about, you know, this type of stuff, and just talking about, you know, learning to control what you can control, and not worry about the other shit. Because at the end of the day, like, you're gonna drive yourself insane.
You will. You
know, trying to do that.
And that's what every coach was telling me, like, for the first month and a half, you know, because I my body language was pretty bad, and I know that. Like, I was definitely getting outside of myself. I was definitely getting a little too upset, like, with my what is the word I'm looking for? My body mannerisms. Like, I was definitely showing it a little too much.
Yeah, I remember talking to you about that and being like, yo, like, if I turn on a game, I shouldn't be able to tell how it's going for you by your body language. Like, it should just be stoic every time.
If you turn on a game in the 3rd inning, and if you're not looking at my pitch count, like, you should be able to tell, even if I've let up 6 runs already, if I'm in the 3rd, you should be able to, it should look like I just got in that game, and I'm still in control.
Like, you're still in control.
Absolutely. And I think that's kind of was the biggest learning point for me this year was, and it's so crazy because, like, it was the most heard thing that I've ever heard. I've never heard something so much. Control what you can control. And like, once the ball leaves my hands, there's nothing I can do about it unless if it comes right back to me. There's nothing I can do. Like, I can't do anything about the field being in terrible condition. I can't do anything about us booting a ball. I can't do anything about us throwing a ball into the stands. Like, I can't do anything about that. You know, so it's just about executing the next pitch with the next batter. And, you know, if there's a guy on first now because of a single, okay, now execute the double play ball, you know. So it's just understanding the little things and not getting outside of myself when things don't go my way.
Yep.
Because
Because as far
even
as-
when it seems like they should go my way, you know.
I mean, just like when you look at it on the outside, it's like the organization is looking at, all right, is he throwing strikes? Is his stuff good? And just how is he throwing overall? You know, like, and if you're gonna do those things majority of the time, you're gonna come out on the right side of it. You know, and
Absolutely.
for you, it's like it seems like, you know, halfway through, it's like the numbers aren't where I need to. Like this next half needs to be unbelievable to balance it out. And it's like you had a great year. Like when you look at your total stats, solid year. You look at your last 3 quarters, unbelievable. So it's like, but that's how it happens is when it's like, all right, if I give up a run here, it's like, all right, you know, for second and third, 1 out, it's like, if I limit this to 1, I'll be fine. When normally it'd be like, no one can score. Not 1 run. So it's like, when you kind of have that mindset of like, hey, I have 80 innings left. If I throw a good 80, like, I'll be fine and not worry about the first 20. And that's pretty much what you did, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it was tough. I mean, like my first month, I think it was my first legitimate 5-6 outings. I think I had 1 outing where I gave up less than 4 runs. You know, like it was tough. It sucked. Like it sucked. I legitimately like don't know how much I should probably say this, but I legitimately punched something and broke my knuckle and pitched with a broken knuckle for the year because I wasn't pulling myself out for a stupid injury that I caused myself.
I remember that.
And after that, I actually ended up having one of the best. I had the best outing of the year, and then I had a phenomenal rest of the year. And it was just like. Stupid things like that. Don't punch things, kids. Don't do that.
Break your knuckles.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
That's like the process, though. It's like, all right, you like something happens. It's like, all right, I learned. So now next year, it's like you out there, first batter hits a home run. It's like, okay, and you make your debut. They score 2 runs, and you're like, all right, I do remember that because
so this year, my first hit, I let up. All right, well, I should go back to last year.
You didn't give up a home run.
Last season, I didn't let up a fucking home run in 68 innings. I went stupid like the year before. But this year, I let up a home run in my literally the second batter. It was the first hit I let up was a fucking homer. And I just looked back and I was like, that's baseball if I've ever fucking seen it.
That is
so like, I mean, it was just a learning point from pitch 1, man. It was a learning point going up to AA, you know, feeling like I had not a ton of success, but once I got up there the year before, I had 2 outings, shut out. So did really well. And I had a similar thing when I got up to AAA this year. So now it's kind of understanding that I've already gone through the adversities I went through last year. Now it's not taking, you know, that like, not overbearing confidence, because I'm still going to have that overbearing confidence, but like I'm not going to have the thought process of like, okay, I'm not going to let up a homer because like, you know, because like in the back of my mind, that was in the back of my mind. Like, oh, I didn't let up a homer last year. Like, oh shit, can I do that this year? You know? So like that was definitely a thought process for sure. But you know, but now it's like, I'm going to let up a few fucking jacks. It's going to happen. Everyone's going to let up jacks.
Like,
you know,
you could look at another guy in here. It was a perfect example of like, you know, just working through that and not caring. When Brett Kennedy debuted, gave up back-to-back jacks in the first inning. You know, and then it's like, holy shit, this is going to be terrible. And then like settled in for another 4 innings after that.
Jack Kachanowicz, same thing. His first 2 starts weren't that great. Sent him down, came back up, was supposed to come out of the pen, got a spot start, 6 shutout, and he threw 8 good starts from there. And it's like, that's kind of the best players can make those adjustments, and the ones that don't pan out just kind of let it go, and it keeps getting worse and worse. They can't stop the bleeding. And that's like what the good players can do that. And it's from learning about those scenarios. Like, all right, at some point it's like, all right, who cares? Let me just get these guys out. And if I gave up 2 runs or 1 run, let's just leave it at that. And then that's what they're kind of looking for, you know?
For sure.
I'm sure it'll happen again. Like, that's part of it. You know?
and it will, because like, I mean, you can look at like who's a top 3 arm in the league right now that has multiple times let up 5-6 in the first inning. Garrett Cole.
Dude,
Garrett Cole. Strider.
Give up nukes.
Dude, it happens. Like, I've seen Garrett Cole originally give up 6 in the first, 7 in the first, and I've seen him the next start strike out 16, 15. Like, bro, like, it's just baseball. It's baseball. Like, so like, it's just, I don't know. It's just such
they don't throw 0 ERAs out for the year.
Exactly. It's just all about, you know, when you have a bad start, bouncing back from it. When you have a good start, building off of it, and then, you know, when you have a start that was just making it better. You know, you just got to make every outing better.
Dude, like sometimes like guys are just good matchups for you. Like some hitters,
seriously,
throughout like the history of baseball have like dominated certain pitchers, and they suck against everybody else.
Every guy will tell you like there's one guy that owns them, and they'll know exactly who it is and know the stats. I wanted to talk about something else too that we kind of always talk about was you went from pretty much the hardest throwing high schooler ever with just a fastball to like kind of how you pitch now, which is you have 4 really good pitches.
Yeah.
Like you utilize your arsenal really well. Like you don't even throw your fastball a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that's
Yeah, I
something
don't.
that people like in high school, they're like, hey, this guy, he's a one-trick pony. This is all he's got. And the amount of time that we put into like developing a slider for you, like
seriously.
probably months. And to see what you do with all of it now, like that's kind of what pitching development is.
sure,
You know what I'm
for
saying?
sure,
Like
for
you
sure.
turned it into like just an arm to like, hey, this guy has a plus slider that now you have 2 sliders that you pretty much go to and a changeup.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff that I don't think people realize. Like that probably might have benefited you the most.
For sure.
You know?
For sure. No, it definitely did. I mean, like you said, we worked for months on the sweeper.
Your slider
Like,
didn't even it
no,
went
it
the
didn't
wrong
move.
way.
It did. It was it was absolutely terrible, and we legitimately worked on it for months. Like
That slider's probably the reason you got paid.
yeah,
good
no,
job.
no, it seriously was because I had the fastball that we didn't even know if it was a 4-seam or sinker.
Yeah,
because
it was kinda both.
It was kind of doing both, was kind of doing whatever it wanted, and now I've kind of honed that, and I can do both, so it's kind of just learning from that. And then the sweeper, when I got into pro ball, started to turn back into the gyro.
Yeah.
So then now I've separated those two, turned those into 2 pitches, and then I didn't even have a changeup going into pro ball, and now I have a pretty damn good changeup because of us working on it,
Yep.
So just over the past 3 years, it's been nothing but development and just getting better because once my name's called, I got to be ready. And
Yep.
you can't do that with 1-2 pitches. You
And
can't.
we tell kids all the time, like, dude, I just want to throw hard. I want to throw hard. I'm like, yo, we want you to throw hard. We want you to throw hard
sure,
as hell.
for sure.
But you need to have pitches that you can get guys out with. Like,
exactly.
I use you as an example. I'm like, yo, Chase threw 100. And we got to talk about the indoor bullpen that
Oh,
you
yeah,
threw.
we'll
'Cause
get there.
I don't know how we missed that so far. But I was like, Chase sat 100, and he like his downfall was he got nothing else. You throw
Yeah.
90,
Yeah.
So you got a lot that you got to learn. You got to throw 4 pitches for strikes. You got to be able to pitch backwards.
You ain't gonna
There's
throw
a lot of
100
stuff.
next week, bud. You gotta go get guys
like,
out.
Yeah.
And,
But yeah.
and even if you are throwing like that hard, like you're not going to do shit with it if it's not in the zone.
No, yeah.
You know, and even like
That was one thing you always did well. You always threw strikes.
That's one thing that I was always like surprised with the velo kind of rapidly going up constantly because it did always just kept going and going
Yeah.
and
Oh, it
going
was
and going.
so
like,
fun to watch.
Like I got in here end of freshman year. I remember I got up by the end of freshman year, summer, going into sophomore year. I think I got up to 88 at that Maryland tournament, I think, and then kind of going throughout sophomore off season. I hit 90 for the first time. I remember that, and then going into the season, I hit like 92 for the first time. By the
I
end of the
remember
season,
when
I hit
you
like
threw at the
94.
showcase that we had at what was the place
Players
in Culver
Edge.
City? Yeah, and like you threw like 92.
Yeah,
and the first time, and I was like,
yeah.
damn,
Yeah,
like,
yep.
that's pretty good.
I wanna
92.
say, was that,
I don't know how much more he's got, but
That wasn't. Where was that again?
that was at Players Edge.
was at
in
Players
Edge.
Edge,
Yep.
Yep.
But
But yeah, while we're on that topic, like, I want you to explain to the people like what your velocity journey looked like. Like, what did you do? Like, what do you think about? Give it
Oh
from
my
the horse's
God.
mouth, because
Okay.
I have like my interpretation, but I think we're gonna be pretty close.
I mean, like, where do you want to go from? Like, do you want to go from like freshman year? Because like, I feel like,
I mean,
ever
just
since a
like-
young kid, like I'd always thrown hard. Like I'd
Yeah.
always like thrown harder. And like freshman year, obviously I threw very hard for a freshman even.
Yep.
But I was just lanky, just moved decently well. My mechanics were dog shit. Like
You were
not
fast.
good. And
Yeah.
and I was
Yeah,
fat. Like I was
fast
just
moving.
fast, twitchy. I was just athletic. And I just had the principles of a decent throw.
You had a
Like,
good foundation, for sure,
exactly. And I mean, I got in with you guys. You guys started letting me come in here, and I started coming in 2-3 times a week. We started working on stuff. It didn't jump right away, but within 2 months, I was up to 90 with you guys.
Yeah.
So honestly, yeah, it did jump right away. Honestly,
Yeah.
2 months is nothing. Like, and I jumped 3-4 miles an hour with you guys because I think I was at like 86 before I got in here.
Yeah.
And like within 2 months, I was up to 90 with you guys just from building off of the principles that I already had. Building off of that foundation and just making it that much better. And then obviously maturing. As I matured, I started gaining miles per hour. Like you said, I was probably 135.
Yeah,
when I
you
got in
were
here.
small. You
I
were
was
small.
I was small.
There was definitely like a component where you from where you started to where you finished,
Yeah.
obviously like a lot bigger, a lot stronger.
I mean, I put on-
and that's all the high school kids,
Yeah.
like the maturity
Yeah.
aspect.
I mean, from freshman year to senior, I put on like 65 pounds.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
is crazy because I never really thought about that. Like, that obviously played a huge role. Like because I was, like you said, 135, 5'9", throwing already pretty hard, like 86, 87, and then I just actually start getting good mechanics, and then I actually put like just maturing and putting the right weight on. I started lifting pretty early. I hated it when you guys started making me lift when I was a sophomore, but I was like, shit, I guess I got to do this eventually. So then going into junior year summer was when I really started lifting, and then junior year was right before COVID, so I was back in the gym. And then I remember COVID hit, and it was the first time that I had actually hit 4 plates like during COVID. So like I was really lifting and like putting time into the gym, and like that was just as a junior. And like I know a lot of guys like in high school just don't really. I know here it's different. You guys get them in the gym like they are on it, and like I've never seen anything like I've never seen so many high school guys in a gym. For baseball ever. I've only ever seen it for, like,
it wasn't
football.
really a thing.
Exactly. And like I remember seeing something about you, like you saying just like the physical advantages that guys have when they are just that much bigger and stronger than guys at a younger age.
At a younger age,
yeah,
it's
like
crazy.
It really is.
Like when you get older, like you're in pro ball now.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Whether you squat
matter.
400 pounds or squat 225, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't. Yeah, exactly.
Because you have the general strength you need.
Exactly.
But like when you're young and you can put on like some strength and size.
Yeah.
You're gonna be better than a lot of people.
Like Ellie De La Cruz, he's not squatting 400 fucking pounds,
No.
but he's the best all around athletic ball player I've ever seen. Like
Freak
he's not out there lifting 1,000,000 pounds. Like he's just absolutely gifted, and he is a freak of nature, and like he moves the right way.
He's strong enough to do his job.
Exactly. Like I remember this is a funny story. I remember in high A he hit a homer, and like he would always just make jokes about like not lifting, and like as he rounded third base, our strength coach name was Dan, and he was like, "No lift, Dan, no lift, no lift." So like it's just stuff like that. Like guys just like they do what works best for them, and like.
And I mean,
what works for Ellie isn't going to work for me. It's not going to work for, I don't know, Mike Trout. Like, it's not going to work for it's just everybody is so tailored to themselves.
Yeah, because when I look at, like, you in high school, like, obviously in the maturity standpoint, like, we were like, hey, you throw hard, what's kind of, like, how much can your body really produce? The biggest thing I remember is, like, there was like, a chase of excellence with the throw. Like every single throw was videoed. Every single
everything
piece of the delivery, like I'd be like, yeah, that was pretty good, and you'd be like, no, I can do it better than that. And every time you threw, it was like
plyo,
that.
Like
every plyo, every time on the mound.
I remember,
like there was like the biggest thing I remember is just kind of the attention to detail. Like you were a guy that had such a good foundation. We could do a lot with it. Like we always looked at like the capability you had, like how deep the arm got, like the adductor length, like how you sat in your back leg. Like everyone kind of was chasing that at one point, and we're like, that's a little egregious. You probably can't do it like that. But for you, like every day, every throw was videoed. Like we were I would say, hey, this is good, and you're like, it's not that good, I can do it better. And that was kind of one of the things that made it so good, is like we were always kind of chasing greatness with where you were at mechanically.
Chasing perfection.
Like it was like it was good on the flat ground, then we would throw plyos off the mound, and it's like if it wasn't good as there, we'd keep doing them, then you go to the mound. Like and there was like a constant, like you understood what we were trying to do, and then like not being scared to like make the adjustment or have it feel weird. Like you would just listen, throw, and then if it was good, we'd be like, all right, cool. Then we put you on the mound, be like, well, a little harder now.
And I think like a lot of it was like you doing it to yourself. Like we kind of did it together almost. Like you were a guinea pig for yourself, and like I feel like that's what kind of built our relationship and kind of what made us close, was that we were doing everything.
There's no competition there.
There was.
No, for sure.
No, there absolutely was.
I threw harder than everyone at that point. I was like, who's this little high school guy? No, not gonna beat me.
No, seriously, and like, and it really did like grow our relationship into what it is today, because like we always pushed each other every day, and like 100%. And like the age gap, it never felt like we were fucking 10 years, like 9 years apart. It never felt like that.
No.
It never felt like that. So
and just like. I kind of was like, hey, like I do this too. I'm not that good. I don't even play baseball at that point. Like it ended up turning upside down. But I mean, from there I was like, you throw 95 in the zone, so do I. But I'm standing here. So it's like you got to continue. You got to continue to push this to get your stuff where you want to be and to chase the positioning, because just having that doesn't get you where you want to go all the time.
For sure. For sure. And like you said, like the biggest thing for me since pro ball is like has been the development. And like since then, like if I was just that guy who was just throwing the shit out of the ball every time and like was just trying to perfect the throw just for like the velocity, like I wouldn't be the pitcher and in the position that I am today because I wouldn't have developed the way that I have.
And your ability to like kind of tackle a new challenge is what the good pitchers do. Like I mean, I just use Bauer for example because he makes it a lot more public, but every year he's adding a new pitch. Like you look at Wheeler, all of a sudden throws four seams and sinkers, so sweeper and curveball. Like every year they're continuing to evolve and change things, and like that's what you do well. And it was like when I would challenge you with your slider, I'm like, dude, you throw 100 sick, you can't throw a slider in the zone. Like then it became like, all right, let's get in the zone. I was like, this guy throws 90 and he has a bit better slider movement wise than you, and it's like, all right, well I can do that at 85. And that's the same thing. It's the same thing with the changeup the other day. Like I was like, dude, your changeup could be better, and you're like, my changeup's good, and I'm like, try this. You try it, really good. And it's like your ability to do that is what helps. And you did that. Like a lot of guys we have like, yo, I you know, this feels good. I don't really want to make the adjustment. Like you never had that.
No,
there was no scaredness to do anything.
Well,
and
like in your head, that's where like that crazy confidence is at. It's like, why fucking can't I do it? Like, what do you mean?
Exactly,
I can't do it.
exactly. Like if you present something, especially like for me, like I'm open like to anything. Like you said, like I've never said no. Like if it can make me better, I'm open to it. Like
100%.
if you want to tell me anything, and this is like comes like from anybody, like I would listen to anybody if you give me advice on how I can be better. Like as a person, as a ball player, anything. I will listen to you if you give me wisdom. Like that's just how I am. And like you having the faith that I have in you, like if you tell me to, hey, try something, it'll be better. Okay, I'll try it. What's the worst? It's not as good. Like, you know, like that's the worst that can happen.
Exactly.
It's not going to ruin
can always
anything.
go back to doing what you're doing, you know?
Exactly. And like for me, like the only goal for me is chasing perfection. Like you said, like we've said that, like it's just chasing perfection. And like nobody will ever be perfect, but I will get as damn close as I can get with what I'm doing, you know, like I will chase.
Because that's the biggest difference too. Like when you look at you in high school and everybody else, like everyone was doing the same stuff that you were doing. They weren't doing it to the level though. Like everyone was working, everyone was maturing, everyone was lifting, everyone was throwing. So it's like, why do some guys get better than others? And it's like just the detail you do it with, just like the ability to say, fuck it. Like I remember the one day, I was telling another story the other day when I forget who it was. Somebody was like, it might have been like Hoops, something like that, who was kind of good too, who was like, yo, like, you won't throw a 95, no warm up. And it was like, picked up the ball, went to the bucket, leg lift, 95. And we're like, what? I might have video of it, and we're like, that's just the stuff that people wouldn't do. What's it smart? I don't know. Maybe the recklessness though is like kind of what makes you what you are.
It's the fearlessness.
And it's like,
it's
like that fearlessness. And
like that, I remember when we were talking to teams going through your draft process, like, and they were asked about you as a person and like the makeup. And one of the things I would say is like, yo, if you saw Chase Petty walking down the street in a pair of flip flops, and you're like, yo, I would take you deep, and he would be like, no, let's go on the fucking mound. Couple arm circles, throw me a glove, and I'll throw barefoot and fuck you up. Like
for sure.
That's how this dude operates.
No, for sure.
And that's where like that kind of upbringing might have benefited you a little bit, because it was like I don't need that much. You know, like I'm talented, I know what I'm doing, but like it doesn't need to be sunshine and rainbows. Like we talk about all the time. Like guys like arm doesn't feel great, or like the weather's bad,
they need
or
perfect scenarios.
like everything needs to be perfect. Like that's kind of where the Tarzan thing came from, is like, this guy doesn't give a shit. He'll come in here and like I would be like, yo, let's do a light day today. You're like, dude, I don't want to throw light. Like how am I gonna get good throwing light? And I'm like, well, you just threw 98 yesterday, like, and there it is.
And then
like,
every day I would come and be like, all right, then why can't I throw 99 today? You know? So it was just always
we would have to kind of like tone you back if anything. Like you were always going, which was fine. And honestly, I think that plays into like what made your arm what it is, what makes you like it keeps you a little bit more healthy. Like if people looked at your throwing now, they'd be like, what? Like the guy is going to come in, he's going to throw 10 plyos, he's going to play catch at the football, his first throw off the bottom of the mound is going to be 90, the last one's going to be 96, 97, then he's going to pull down at 102, and all within 30 throws. Like no one does that. And it's like, but also like that's just what you do. And I think now if people looked at like your regiment is like, it's not heavy lifting, it's pretty much mobility, throwing, and like you hammer the thing, and we work on your stuff. Like you hammer the skill part of the game, and that's kind of what I wanted people to get out of this. Was like, you were doing the same stuff everyone else is doing. You were just hammering the skill piece way more detail than everyone else.
Like I'm not like going out there trying to lift 1,000 pounds like we talked about earlier. Like yes, I'm staying on top of my weight training. I'm making sure that my strength training is in the right condition. But
maintaining
at most, I'm doing 3 plates on deadlift. Like at most, you know, I'm split squatting maybe 175. You know, I'm just not doing heavy weight.
Yeah, you're not taxing your body. You're maintaining.
Exactly. And like I know I'm very strong for my size and for my build. So like I know as long as I maintain my strength and like I'm not gonna tweak something and hurt myself lifting because I'm doing it the right way.
Your job is to pitch.
Exactly.
And that's a big thing that we try to drive home is like there's a lot of like the skill part of the game is super important and it just gets overlooked. And that's like what like we'll spend. So we never talk about what you're doing in the weight room or anything. We're like, yo, let's get on the mound, let's throw. Yeah. What's the throw looking like? What do we need to work on? How's the stuff? Like, what's the plan going forward? And that's kind of what it is.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever a time in here hitting or pitching or anything when we're looking at a guy and we're like, all right, yeah, you can't do this on the mound or in the box, but like maybe if you squat more, you can.
Yeah.
Like it's never even a thought.
Never.
Yeah. And I think the one thing that we missed too is like I think the first time we knew that obviously we thought you were going to be special. But when the first time you threw the indoor
like,
live
BP, be a first rounder.
and you threw 100 to 102, we were sitting there, and I think no one really said it, but we were like, this day might go down in history. Like I still look at those videos all the time. We still use them on Instagram. It's like, hey, you want to face Chase Petty in high school? Here's what it looked like. And we had our own guys facing 100 miles an hour inside.
Seriously.
Like it was unbelievable.
Kudos to everybody from that high school fucking.
Dude,
what was that? That was the BPC challenge,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The BPC
I
challenge.
think those guys,
dude.
like a couple years from now, are going to be fired up that they were striking out in that video because it's like that one slider to Brock, like where he almost falls.
Yeah.
Mackenzie fouling off 100, and like people were jacked up about that. Like the warm ups were 100, like up to 102 on the track.
Yeah,
man.
and
Like,
I remember.
People don't do that in the big leagues, let alone in a live BP.
I actually wasn't supposed to throw that live too.
Yeah,
and, like, that's probably the best part about it. Like I remember going to Book the day before and the day of, and I don't know if people know Book's Ryan Bucaferni.
Yeah.
So he told me the day before. I was just telling him I'm just a little tight, you know, nothing crazy, just a little sore. Gave me some soft tissue and was like, "Hey, you're supposed to throw tomorrow, right?" And like the live, he's like, "Yeah, it's probably not the best idea. You know, if you're tight, just don't even stress it." And I was like, I'll throw. I'll be all right. And then I ended up. He was like, "All right, just come see me before, and I'll work on you before." So I went in, gave me a few cups, just soft tissue me, scraped me up a little bit more, and he was like, "All right, fucking, if you're gonna do it, go rip it." And I went in, I came in, and I fucking ripped that shit. I was just chucking it.
Dude,
and
I'll never forget that shit.
That was crazy.
Dude, that was
one of the most impressive things I've ever seen.
I remember standing.
I just
like literally remember where I was at in the facility when it happened. Like initially in the old spot, I was standing like at the stairs, like the low stairs that would go down to the batting cage, and I'm watching him warm up, and I'm like, I saw 100, and I was like, bro. And I remember just like I ran into the cage. All the high school hitters are sitting there, like watching you warm up at 100, and I'm like, yo, you guys are like watching a unicorn warm up right now. Like this isn't real. Like this is insane.
Yeah, no, I don't think I've ever felt like that, like ever in my life. The only time I've ever felt like that was maybe like my Millville game, like when I played against Millville my senior year, and then maybe like the prep game, the scrimmage where I hit 102 for the first time. Yeah, and like. But like other than that, I've never just had like that feeling of like just looseness, comfortability.
That
just
was
like
so fucking
it
fun.
was.
Yeah, that was.
was.
I mean, that was. I mean, one of the most impressive things I've ever seen with my own eyes. I think.
Yeah.
And it was. I mean, dude, like those things are like that is when you kind of started to take a grasp on like baseball in the area. Like, dude, people would come to your high school games like.
No,
that will never happen again.
No,
I
it's
don't
crazy.
Think. Like,
it's crazy.
Like the amount of people you would get just because of like, all right, where you came from in Millville, like all the connection you have there, moving here, like people hearing about you. Obviously, being at BPC, like everyone, you would work out with everyone every day, and then like just from like the community was like, yo, we're gonna have a first round pick. Like it was crazy, and I wasn't even able to go to all of them, but like these guys,
everybody in the area knew when Petty Day was.
It was crazy looking back on it. Like it's like still like I haven't seen a high school baseball game like packed out through the sidelines, like just like on a normal Tuesday, like it was crazy. It was really
cool.
It was really
hell,
fucking cool to be part of.
It's cool
Like,
to talk
really
about
was.
now because like you never want to be like, yo, you realize what you're doing until it's like down the road. But
Exactly.
like
Don't
like dude. When people mention BPC, like, oh, BPC, that's where Chase Petty went, you know? And it's like, that was crazy. Like, like I'm like, damn. I mean, yeah, that's true.
Your name is brought up to us more times than you can imagine when people are like, oh, yeah, that's where Chase Petty trained.
Yeah.
So he's like, he still does, too, yeah.
Yeah, well, forever, always will. Always will.
And that's what's crazy about it. But, dude, I'm glad we got to have this because I don't think a lot of people know.
I got the shit tatted on the knee for no reason.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is. Close up.
And just people knowing your story and obviously like can plug the Chase Petty Foundation, but
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of people are gonna, feel for the story and actually figure out, where you're from and
sure.
what you're about and why you are like you are. Like, I mean, that's part of what makes you. That's part of what makes you as good as you are is like where you started, where you came from, and like how you use that to your advantage. Which is like if people can get one message, it's like, hey, just because this is where I'm from, like I can use that to help me.
For sure, absolutely. And like you said, to plug my foundation. If you guys want to support my foundation, it's thechasepettyfoundation.com. It goes helps support all the underprivileged youth in my hometown, Millville, New Jersey. And the big goal down the road, which is being quite a few years, but it's the ultimate big goal, is to build a community center free of charge for all the youth that need an outlet to get out of the house and need a place to go to eventually. So that's the long-term goal with the foundation, but for now we're kind of just giving back to youth sports, making sure that they have everything that they need within the community and just giving back as much as I can right now. But like you said, if I have one message to anyone, just whether it's in baseball, outside of baseball, sounds cliche, but like I'm literally going to get it tattooed on me, but chase your dreams. I'm literally going to get dreams into reality. Like I've dreamed of the position that I'm in my whole life, and there's only growth and movement forward that I can go from here, and there's only upwards from here for now. So I think that just moving on, like it's still going to be me chasing my dream, and from a kid, that's all I've ever wanted to do. So me being in this position now to continue to be able to chase this dream, it is one of the biggest things that I'm most proud of, and my biggest accomplishment in life, and
where you come from,
exactly.
like you can still, it doesn't matter where you start.
It doesn't matter. It's just the work, the time you put in, how much you love it, how much dedication, like how dedicated you are to it and your craft, and just being 1% better every day.
Damn right.
Yeah,
Dude.
I mean, feel like we're wrapping up. I just want to say from all of us, here at the facility, it's been one of the coolest things ever, like having you, like watching you over the years, like grow up, mature, us have to get in your ass at times. And
you talking like this from where you started is crazy thought,
like
it was like, I don't want to call a college coach. I don't know what to tell him.
It's the coolest thing ever to hear you, like, talk about your life and open up. I think it's so mature. Like
Thank you.
It's really, really cool, man. And I'm proud to know you, and I'm just proud of you in general, and I know Mike is too. I know everybody here is. Like, we're proud of you, man, and we love you.
Hey, we love you. I love you guys, and I'm fucking proud of you guys for everything you guys have done.
Thanks,
I mean,
man.
the way that I've seen that you guys transform this brand, BPC, and just all of it throughout the community has been unbelievable. This place will go band for band with any facility in this country. It is the best facility in the country.
We ain't done yet.
We got more work
not
to do.
even close.
That's damn
Yes,
right.
sir.
Chase Petty, you're the man. Thank you
you
so much for being on here.
We'll see you in the show.
Yeah, see you in the
sir.
show.
We'll be-
Sometime this year.
Chase Petty episode 2 after the debut for sure.
Yeah, that is a fact.
Damn
Let's
right.
go.
Coming
That's
On the
summer-
road.
soon.
Summer 2025. Let's
Literally
go.
the day after the debut, you guys will be in there.
All right, we'll bring it there.
Yeah, bring
Yeah,
it
sir.
we'll
there.
do a pod on the go.
Yes,
On
sir.
the go.
All right, thank you guys. This was awesome. We'll see you guys on the next one, and see you guys later.
Thank you.
Yep.